Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today is Best of One Day, so for you guys I have a wonderful little Chromatic black deck, but a variant of it, because we're going to be playing around with Yarok the Desecrated. So, for those of you who don't know, Chromatic Black is an archetype built around Chromatic Lantern, a 3-mana artifact that says lands you control have 1 mana, add 1 mana of any colour, so it turns all of our lands into 5 colour lands. It's also a mana rock itself, so we get to ramp that way. And it's built around the card Cabal Stronghold, which adds black for each swamp you control. So the idea is, if we have 5 swamps and a Cabal Stronghold, then the Stronghold is actually netting us mana, and we can use this to ramp into some big stuff. And in addition to that, obviously, we have our 5 colour mana, which is going to be quite important. We're building around Yarok the Desecrated here, so we have a Sultai Legendary 3/5. It says if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So anything that has an enter the battlefield clause on it is going to go twice over. So in the case of Golush Tireless Pilgrim, we can actually use the first ability there, the ETB, to search our library for 2 land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle our library. We can actually even activate the bottom of Golos here for exiling the top 3 cards of our library and getting them for free. Could include the land drops, could include Ugin, to be honest. And we can do that using the Chromatic Lantern to gain the 5 colour mana needed to use the activated abilities, as well as Treasure Map here, generating the treasures. We can do it that way as well. But yeah, otherwise, we're actually going on a Yarok-related enter the battlefield synergy here. So the big one is Dread Presence. 4 mana for a 3/3. Whenever a swamp enters the battlefield under your control, you get to choose one. You get to either draw a card and lose 1 life, or you get to deal 2 damage to any target and gain 2 life. So we can use removal or card advantage, either one. It's very nice to have Dread Presence before and after Golos, because we can go turn 3 Chromatic Lantern into turn 4 Dread Presence plus land drop, which is pretty sweet. Or we can do Golos after the Dread Presence, grabbing a swamp to trigger it as well, so we can draw a card that way. We also have Dust Legion Zealot for card draw. It just makes sure that we can cycle through the deck and find the pieces we need, because obviously this deck doesn't perform too well without a Chromatic Lantern, and our opponents will be machine gunning their way towards these if they have the ability to do so. But how do we actually win the game? Well, in addition to Dread Presence pings, which is very much a potential win con, as we'll be using this to do some serious attrition throughout the entire game, we also have the Mastermind's Acquisition package. So this is a 4 mana tutor for literally any card in your deck. So we can either go into the main, using the first ability there, or we can go into the sideboard for any number of golden bullets, we'll say. Anything that can just destroy our opponent is hopefully in the sideboard. So we have the Elder Spell to kill Super Friends decks, the Spyglass if we just need to shut off 1 Planeswalker, Reclamation Sage for double enchantment and artifact removal with Yarok. We have Unmoored Ego if we're playing against anything combo related. We can even name like Nissa. It's usually a good one to hit, since Nissa decks tend to revolve heavily around that card. Ixalan's Binding, again, to just catch all artifacts and enchantments, planeswalkers, anything that we really don't like we can get rid of. Helm of the Host is kind of a meme option. I'd probably get into trouble for not running this, but we can attach that to something like Golos or Yarok, so we can get some additional ETB triggers. We have the Mirari Conjecture, which is a really good interaction with the Mastermind's Acquisition, because on the 2nd chapter we can actually get the acquisition back out of our graveyard that was used to get the Conjecture from our sideboard. But we can also get instants, and then on a chapter 3 we get to double up our spells, so we want to save the Mastermind's Acquisition that we get back on chapter 2 for the chapter 3, so we can go and get 2 more things out of our sideboard. Haphazard Bombardment is a hilarious addition here. It's basically land destruction or permanent destruction that's not enchantments anyway. 6 mana. You only need the 1 red, so hopefully we have either a treasure or a lantern in play. But when it enters the battlefield, you get to choose 4 non-enchantment permanents. 8 if we have a Yarok in play, and then they get a counter on them. And then at the beginning of their end step, Haphazard Bombardment chooses 1 of those permanents and blows it up. So we can just name all of our opponent's lands, and every single turn they will lose a land until everything is over and sadness is resolved. Muldrotha can get Dread Presence, can rebuy Chupacabras, get Golos, get literally anything out of our graveyard, all of our creatures. It's pretty sweet. We can also get the Chromatic Lanterns and the Treasure Maps as well if they have been blown up, so pretty cool. As well as Ugin as well. Any permanent type in our graveyard we can rebuy with Muldrotha. Immortal Sun, again, if it's a Super Friends based deck, I would much rather have my Ugin not work than my opponent's entire board working, so Immortal Sun shuts down those. We've got Star of Extinction as a clear board wipe, just have our way at it. Zakama untaps all of our lands, which is really good if we have the Cabal Strongholds in play. We can just really ramp up our mana that way. We also get to deal 3 damage to a creature, kill artifacts and enchantments, or gain a metric ton of life. Banefire is one of the big ones. If we can actually generate a ton of mana, then we want to Mastermind's Acquisition for the Banefire, because then when we activate all of our Cabal Strongholds over and over and over again, we should hopefully have about 20 to 30 mana on the average matchup where Banefire is relevant, and just hit our opponent in the face for lethal. Uncounterable as well, but if we're acquisitioning, we have to assume they didn't have a counter to begin with. Hydroid Krasis is a nice way to refuel as well. If we feel like our main deck is perfectly suitable for beating our opponent, then we can just use a Hydroid Krasis, spend either 2 treasures or the Chromatic Lantern to get the Simic colours, and then draw half X and gain half life for X as well, and just have a big body in play. Finally, Mass Manipulation, because generating a lot of mana means that we can manip. So we're going to be doing some mass manips, taking our opponent's creatures and planeswalkers and beating them to death with them. That's essentially the deck, guys. The rest is basically removal, Vraska's Contempt, Ritual of Soot, cast downs, that kind of thing, Cry the Carnarium to survive, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into the games. But before we do, if you do enjoy decks like this, it helps me out immensely if you would hit that like button and subscribe for some more content like this in the future. Whatever gets a lot of views means that I will probably come back and revisit it in the future, so if you really do love the deck, make sure to hit that like button. But without further ado, let's get into the games, and I'll see you there. Okay, we're in on the draw, and yeah, this hand looks pretty sweet. Let's take it. And looks like a Cavalcade deck. Well, if Dread Presence can live, then it should be able to just machine gun down all their X-ones. It's pretty sweet. I think short of Chandra's Spitfire, most of the stuff will be able to be killed by Dread Presence. The question is, are we just going to die before we get there, though? And to be honest, it seems kind of likely. Since I'm stopping 1 damage by damaging myself, we don't get to actually ping anything until turn 4, because we're going to Lantern next turn and then Dread Presence the turn after, presumably. Alright. Choosing to trade their Firebrand for our Zealots. Down to 12, and all in at the face. Okay. They might regret using all of those, but who knows. So now we get the Lantern down, that gives us 4 mana, so we can go Dread Presence and Swamp. Truly the tireless tracker play of old. I get a definite trigger. Hopefully we live, and it looks like we do. Alright, so Dread Presence. So they've used the Shocks, which says to me they probably don't have the damage required here to actually kill Dread Presence. So I should be able to carry this game away. Let's go with the Scorched Spitter, since this has an attack trigger. And then next turn, we get to kill the Torch Courier, or whatever follows up. Ooh, Spitfire. Well, that's getting contented. Yeah, this is just too good. Alright. Contempt the Spitfire. Gain 2. Do I want to... I think I want to draw with this land here and go down to 8 and 7. I think that's worthwhile. Dread Presence doing work. And a Cabal Stronghold that actually nets mana, so that's good. Do we want to get in for damage? I guess we do. They still need to actually find a way to kill the Dust Legion Zealot if they want to push through that Torch Courier. The Spitfire, we have the Chupacabra for that. Ooh. Ooh. does that change anything? This is adding 5. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just get the Yarok down. And hopefully our opponent doesn't Spitfire us to death. I'm taking a bit of a risk here, but it's all in the aid of getting double triggers from the Dread Presence and double Chupacabra triggers as well. So no attacks. This is the turn. Can they Spitfire me to death? It might be an unnecessary risk. It probably is, to be honest. Yep. Oh no. Going to 1. To 1, you say? Okay. So, play our Swamp. 2 damage to the Torch Courier. And 2 damage to our opponent's face. Gonna gain 4 life. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a shock. I mean, if they had it, the only reason they wouldn't have fired it off is because they were absolutely slow rolling to death. And we get 6 mana there. I definitely want to shoot the Spitfire. So the question becomes... Never mind. I was going to say, what do we get with this Masterminds acquisition that just wins us the game on the spot? And I think there was a lot of things we could have gotten, to be honest. Helm of the Host. Just stick that on Yarok or something like that, so we get lots and lots of triggers. And yeah, just run it through. I mean, a lot of our main deck can take care of that deck as well, so pretty sweet. Alright, next game. Okay, we're in, and this hand looks pretty good. It's got a lot of early game stuff, so we can do Zealot if we want to draw, or Treasure Map if we want to do some scrying, either one. Depends on the speed of our opponent. And then we've got Cry of the Carnarium if they're a creature matchup, so yeah, I'll take this hand. It basically just needs a 3rd land, and then it's Gucci. So Zealot and Treasure Maps can find us that. Really not too pleased about the double map, but it is what it is, right? Alright, Swamp go. Hello, opponent. Please don't be awful. Looks like maybe Wizards. So, I do want to make my land drops, so I'm inclined to go Treasure Map here, I think. With an upkeep stop. So we upkeep stop, and we find a land, we play Dust Legion Zealot. That's kind of what I have in mind. See if we can get our opponent to really commit with this Cry of the Carnarium. Interesting choice to draw and discard there. If they'd have attacked, they wouldn't be making a decision right now. But I guess they want to go for their Lava Runner flip. I don't agree that that's necessarily worth it, but to each his own. Alright, we got our Swamp, which means we can play our Zealot. We can chump if we like. Or we could do double Treasure Map. I don't think double Treasure Map's what I want. I do want a land so I can guarantee my land drop and still scry with the Treasure Map. We didn't get it, so we'll see. Arcanist. Alright. I think I'll just block. A little premature, but I plan on Ritual of Sutting if I can anyway. Could go for the luck draw, but there's only an opt in there for the Arcanist so far. What are the odds that it really bites me? Let's do it. Show me a land. Hell yeah. Okay. So now I could do Treasure Map, or do I want to go... Do I want to set up my next draw, or do I want to get Chromatic Lantern down? I'm going to get all the colours of mana from this new Treasure Map. So I guess I just want to play the newest one. And then we're going to Ritual of Sut them next turn. So I'm hoping that they commit. Something like an Adelaide would be pretty good. Asking you shall receive. This is a lot of damage. But I'm hoping it's damage we can come back from. So Dreadhawk Arcanist gets the Opt, which triggers our delays, and then they've also got 1 mana here to trigger again. It's a lot of damage. They actually could have played their 1 mana spell in hand and then used Charter Course instead. I'm assuming they have a 1 mana spell here anyway. The deck is pretty much, yeah, comprised of them. That's a lot of damage. Alright. That's life gain. I think I'll take life gain. We're at 3. Dead to a fine top deck. Cabal Stronghold. Yeah, sure. And then we will Ritual of Soot and hope that they don't have Burn in hand, which is magical Christmas land. But you know, it's basically it's where we're at. Lava Runner, that takes us to 1. Hand Adelaide's dead anyway. Alright. Opponent had the nuts. We couldn't quite Cry of the Carnarium because we were only going to get a 1-for-1. And yeah, that's Wizards for you. Alright, we got a 3-lander, Dust Legion to draw, and Cry of the Carnarium to defend, so yeah, some nice early game plays, I like it. Forest and Llanowar Elves. Okay. Mono green doing mono green things. Let's draw a card, hopefully something good. It's not bad. Kind of, ideally, I guess I just want a swamp so I can Dread Presence off the Chromatic Lantern into land drop for the turn. Lets me ping off some of these things. I'm definitely going to fire off the Cry the Carnarium here, though. Because I imagine my opponent's really relying on those mana dorks. This could be like Elf Ball, or it could be Ramp with a very mana dork-based hand. Either way, I think wiping them out there is probably for the best. Dryad Green Seeker. Interesting. Question becomes, do I make this land drop now, or do I use it on the Dread Presence? 4, 5... I mean, I could play Ugin next turn, so I guess it's worth the risk. Play the Swamp there, so we don't get our activation. On the off chance we draw a land, and we get to Ugin instead. Otherwise, we might just play Dread Presence with no value, and then maybe draw a land off the top the turn after. Could even Acquisition for a Swamp, to be honest. Alright, let's see what Green Seeker can do. Nothing. Ooh, Golos. Yeah, so Golos could get me a Swamp and trigger the Dread Presence. Something I got in mind. Or we could just use him to ramp now. I think we just want to play Dread Presence. Because, like, not getting a Cabal Stronghold with Golos is completely fine, because we already have the one. Leyline of Abundance. Okay. So Paradise Druid gets to tap for an additional black, but unfortunately, they've activated my trap card. Let's grab a Swamp. And Dread Presence will deal 2 damage to your double mana generating 2/1. Make that Leyline of Abundance look real bad. See if they get a land. They do not. Alright, yeah, when you just destroy the mana dorks of a Leyline deck, then that's what's going to happen. Okay. This hand, it could be great, or it could be really awkward. If we get a land, then our 4 mana stuff's open, and we basically, with this hand, we have to rely on Cry the Carnarium being a good card. Can I rely on that? And if it's bad, can I recover from that? We're on the draw, so we get to see an additional card that's not in this list. I think I'm going to take the risk. See what our opponent's up to. Vampires, actually, Cry the Carnarium seems pretty good against. Depends on how they go about their vampire list. Some of them go quite big. Yeah, it's still not the end of the world, as long as they don't have another Legion's Lieutenant. We got a cast down, so we can kind of fix it a little bit. So if they got another Legion's Lieutenant, we can cast down one of them. Cruel Celebrant. Please play another 1-drop. No, they don't have one. Alright, so yeah, we get to clean up here. -2/-2 to everything. Legion Lieutenant dies, takes the debuff off, and then all 3 are killed. And because they get exiled from Cry the Carnarium, Celebrant doesn't trigger either. And we got all the land drops we could ever want. So, let's clean up. A 3 for 1. We're at 12. Sorry about the dog, guys. Yep, we get to Sorin here. Hopefully they don't have a big vampire that's really bad. No, they don't. Alright. Yeah, this is just... God, we're in easy town right now. Kill Sorin. They could have gotten like a -3 there and put down a big vampire. Instead, we got the Imperious Bloodlord. Where do I want to go with this? They're ticking up, which means they don't have a good vampire to work with. Where's my Mastermind's Acquisition going? Because it could go on Dread Presence, but if those 2 cards are removal spells, that's going to kind of suck. What's in my sideboard that I could use? Nothing really, unfortunately. We need the Chromatic Lantern to make most of those plays work. 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. I think I just go get Chromatic Lantern and hope that my draws are good. Alternatively, it could be Dread Presence. You know what? Let's do Dread Presence. Make use of these swamps so that they're not just dead draws. I've got the cast down for that. So my opponent can commit to it and we're completely fine with that. So let's go Dread Presence. Play a land. Do we want to hit Sorin? I don't think we do. I think we just want to draw a card. Sorin's on 6. He's just going to stay that way, and now we've got an Ugin. And I can get my opponent to commit to the Knight of the Ebon Legion a little bit more. Ticking up on him, potentially. And maybe even activating as well. And then we'd cast down to really waste our opponent's time. Another Knight. Please overcommit to that Knight. So far, so good. Let it go. Activate. Do it. Never mind. They're not going to do it. Give them the opportunity. They pass priority back, so we'll just cast it down. Ooh. Ooh. I think that's what we're playing. Dread Presence. And then play our Swamp. We get double triggers. Again, I think we draw. We're going to Dust Legion once. I think we draw. And then I do kind of want to kill the Knight, but we don't really have a way of doing that. We can just do this and then they activate in response. So I'm going to draw twice and see if I can find an answer. Golosh and Chromatic Lantern. Well, that allows me to do Yarok and then any of my Zealot or Golos here. We can get like super amounts of mana doing that kind of thing. and say go. This thing gets Death Touch, right? Yeah, that's so powerful. If he didn't get Death Touch, it might be okay. Our opponent's ticking up and giving it Death Touch as well, so I'm gonna pass. Ouch. That's a good one. Vraska's Contempt. 7, 8 mana we've got to work with. So we could do Ugin and Zealot. We could do 5. We could do Yarok and Zealot. Golos gets us a Swamp. If Golos gets us a Swamp, actually, what we can do is hit the Knight and then 6 our opponent's Sorin so they can't -3. And then we can even still Dust Legion Zealot. That sets up the Golos activations as well, because we have all 5 colours of mana ready to go. I do really ideally want a Cabal Stronghold, but it doesn't trigger the Dread Presence. Only basic swamps do. Or swamps in general. So, 2 there. And 2 there. Opponent can't activate, so this is an ideal time to get them. And then swing for 6 at Sorin. He's basically a land drop away from death.
I cannot be killed.
Do I want to go with the Zealot? I kind of want the Yarok plus Zealot. But I might want Yarok plus Golos activations. Also mana for this Contempt as well. I think we'll pass. I think we'll take Zealot's double trigger maybe with the Yarok. Well, it says good game and they've had enough. Alright. Pretty sweet. Yeah, we were about to synergize the crap out of our opponent there, so we got him. Alright guys, well that is going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for some more content like this in the future. It lets me know what kind of content you're interested in watching so I can return to it in the future. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Without further ado, I'm going to end it off. Take care guys.